That's right. Shake the Christmas lights. Shake them ropes. Fire up, baby. Oh, you get to wave to your grandmother from the driveway. That's Christmas this year. What's going on, everybody? It's WrestleZone on a Tuesday in the unfortunate year of 2020. How are you doing? If you're listening to us on the podcast side, thank you so much to our new listeners in Singapore, Australia, Japan, and beyond. Also, thank you to everyone. Once again, the island nation of Cyprus has decided that we're a wrestling podcast they really, really like, making us number 2 this past week on the Apple Sports chart in the island nation of Cyprus.
Rock and roll.
Are we compete with the big dogs? No, but we'll take an island. we are an island of irrelevancy. That's what we're on. Roman Reigns is an island of relevancy. We are the opposite. All right, so if you're with us live, everyone who's with us live on Facebook or YouTube, something very simple you can do to help out our show that you do not pay to listen to, that we do not have ads on, is very, very easy, and you have no reason for not doing it. And that is hitting the like button and sharing. Also, for our regular listeners, we're giving away toys. Next few weeks, we're going to be giving away some toys. All right. And so if you keep listening, we'll give you guys more options on how to win those. And you have to listen and you have to watch to win those toys. It's the only way to do it. What's up, everybody? We'll get into the wrestling news of the day. Lana has broken down those AEW rumors about her husband and her role in WWE. And everyone's saying because her husband went to AEW, this is happening to her in WWE. Oh, no. Raw ratings are in, and they are up, and they needed to be up. We'll talk about how they rolled off TLC. Plus, the Slammy Awards are tomorrow, and they are not going to be on TV, but the internet and the network. All right, so we'll have a lot to discuss and a whole lot of AEW as they have to deal with some shuffling here with the NBA rolling out a bit early this year. Dominic D'Angelo in the city of Three Rivers, Pittsburgh, PA. Your Steelers not doing too good last night, but certainly taking some viewers away from Monday Night Raw.
Hey, I mean, yeah, they did. They're not my Steelers, though.
You got your Jets, dude? What you'd almost want it to be the Steelers this year.
I do. But
I'm teasing you because you're in the area. That's all.
They take I mean, it was quite the upset game, and you mentioned that it took away some of the near the end of it there. So interesting.
Yeah, yet an upset game. Bengals not doing anything this year in the NFL, as you explained to me before we went live. And I remember just fun. I forgot who the Steelers are playing, but I remember just reading, multiple channels during Monday Night Raw and doing the post show and doing different things in WrestleZone. So I was just like, oh wow, this game could pull some people from them. And we get the numbers here from Monday Night Raw. Now, last week's Raw rating, if you don't like WWE and you just come to the internet to be mad about WWE and hate WWE and you don't watch WWE, but you certainly want to spit on it and just be a curmudgeon, jaded wrestling fan.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yes, if you want to be a Scrooge, if you want to be a Scrooge McDuck about all things here, the Raw rating was not particularly great the week going into a pay-per-view. And so people freaked out about it, and there was much speculation that people at the USA Network, NBC Universal wanted some changes. Those have been disputed as to whether or not those changes were more adult content, not sexy adult content, were actually true. So widespread kind of conflicting reports coming into Monday. But the Raw rating came in, and the Raw rating is up. A significant number is up here. I wouldn't call it a dramatic rise for Raw, but this is a pretty good one. In the 8 p.m. hour, the first hour of the show, they nearly cracked 1.9 million, which is pretty good, but you do get down to about 1.5 in the 10 p.m. Eastern hour. Mind you, the football game, as we mentioned, was a pretty compelling game. They came in number 4, 5, and 6 in the 18 to 49 demographic. And considering they're up against a pretty tough football game and the ratings the week before, it's not a bad number.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want it to get any lower than it was. No. But, I mean, the big thing will be, holiday seasons are always iffy for wrestling ratings because, holidays, people traveling, people just
different habits
going on, obviously.
Different habits, especially this year.
And then typically a different product gets put out there for WWE usually has some sort of theme to it a lot of the times. Who knows what's going to be like though this time around, since they tape and stuff earlier. So might be a little more engaging. I think SmackDown coming up, that might have some stuff to deliver too. So
SmackDown will air on Christmas Day on Fox Network. I wonder what that number will be. I wonder
people home, Christmas is over, they ate their dinner, everything like that. You're a wrestling fan, you have the opportunity to watch it. So
true. And also Christmas is not a holiday that's just celebrated on one day. It's kind of spread out over a day or two.
True that.
And I could see certainly people have the day off. People are going to have the next day off, the way Christmas breaks down here. Could be
I think it would be different if it was a Christmas Eve episode. I think the rate would be a lot more questionable, but
I think they'd be lower. Christmas Day, different story.
It might be a different story, yeah.
Could be a better number. Network TV, always reach more people. And that show will be taped Tuesday. We will have results if you simply just want to know what they are beforehand. We will have results. We do have John Clark's going to be in the Thunderdome to cover that. So this is where WWE is right now, heading off of TLC, which I think most fans responded to and felt it was a strong pay-per-view. It is filing into the pattern that WWE's had, where some people are angry about the TV, then they get to the network payoff, they get paid off. And that's been the pattern. As much as people want to be mad about things here, has been the pattern here. TLC, strong show. Randy Orton certainly cut quite the angle with The Fiend. Maybe the best Inferno match we've ever seen. Dominic, what were your thoughts coming out of TLC and what you saw? We had Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, a great TLC match. Some fans down on Miz failing to cash in, but did you want Drew McIntyre to lose the title? What are your just immediate takes coming out of TLC this past Sunday?
Immediate takes is like positive that Drew McIntyre retained. I don't get the fact. I mean, Miz has been positioned as a mid-carder for a long time now. If he's coming in to play, why would you want him screwing up one of your top stars by one? I think
Drew is a top star now.
Yeah, and I think I said this in the chat is like you want they screwed up. I think the whole Money in the Bank this year when they didn't know what to do with Otis. Like they kind of like screwed it. So at this point, I wasn't really banking on a Money in the Bank cash, and it seemed like half-assed, so to speak, if they were going to do that at this point. So I feel that's okay. As far as the angle with Randy Orton and the Fiend, I was like, not my thing. And we've seen a lot of this, like, and the way they underplay it too is like they opened Raw and they didn't even talk about it. That wasn't the first thing they talked about. Charlotte coming back was the first thing. You killed a man.
It's a TV thing. I think with that, I know everyone thinks you open with that right away, but it's a TV thing. You want to hold that quarter hour, and if you look at the numbers, it made sense. It made sense that they didn't. I mean, obviously, everyone thinks you open with that right away. But they went with the big star coming back at the beginning of the show. All right, so they went with Charlotte as back at the beginning of the show, and we can argue it, but that was the highest rated hour of the show. And
people were tuning in and go like, "What the hell happened with the dummy getting burned alive?"
We don't know, but this is where the numbers are dropping down right now. Next day, so and this isn't even like a full number,
Yeah.
But millions of people watched the clips of those on YouTube in many different formats this weekend. As much as people argue that, it's just this awful. I heard someone got into it to me with Twitter the last 2 days, saying it isn't believable. It isn't. I was like, it's wrestling. Like this is. I'm okay with it. It didn't make me feel icky. You're against it.
Listen, it's coming early today. It's supposed to be tomorrow. It's coming early for me. I have some airing of the grievances.
Oh, with Festivus? Do the airing of grievances? Should I do Dominic's airing of grievances?
I need a poll up here somewhere.
All right, Wrestling Festivus. You want to air some grievances?
Yeah, it's just
I'm gonna put it on there. So this is Wrestling Festivus. We'll do this. How about we save our airing of wrestling grievances? I will give you 3 grievances.
Okay.
All right, and this is a bit we're coming up with within the show. We want your wrestling grievances. If you're watching,
someone in the ring here.
This is Wrestling Festivus. You must air your grievances. Your grievances must be less than 120 characters. If you guys are calling it, like, don't write a whole paragraph. And saying Vince McMahon needs to go away is not a grievance.
That's
I've heard so many people say he's old and I don't like him. Stop it. You're 19. That isn't a grievance. He owns.
Oh, it's a grievance. I think that's my top grievance, Kevin.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll get to it, but we'll end the show with the airing.
We'll end the show with it. Okay, Wrestling Festivus.
All right. So when I'm rambling on too long, you scribble down some notes there, and we will air some grievances. All right. And I know you're our AEW guy, so I know you're going to have some for them. And we'll cover NXT and all the different stuff. This is a random thing we just fell upon in the show. So no problem covering that here.
Nope.
Other news for WWE, Lana. Now, Lana has gotten a lot of attention this year. A lot of people would say it's bad or it's good. And she has addressed it. Now, much speculation came in the past few months since her husband was released by WWE, Rusev in WWE, now Miro in AEW, the competitor, that since he went there, her role has been diminished. That her role, the fan speculation is that her role has been so buried. She's being put through a table for 2 months every single week on TV because her husband went to AEW. And that is just a surface level observation, really. I wouldn't even call that a speculation or even analysis. I don't think you can say it. I was like, yeah, you look, like it's just, you just spit it out. Here's the thing. She's kind of cleared the air on this and has said something about this. What is your position here? Do you think Lana got put through a table 2 months in a row just because her husband went to AEW?
Honestly, I think that kind of had something to do with it. But what we talked about too was like it caught on, and when something catches on, Vince runs with it, and so he ran with it. The
fans reacted to it. Her getting part of it became a meme in itself.
There was not a payoff for the fans, like when
we haven't gotten there yet, though. You know what I mean? So, like,
yeah, but
where they want to
say in this article that she's gone away, like she's gone.
So she got injured the week before the TLC pay-per-view, so just before this past Monday.
Yeah.
And she got beat up pretty bad. I mean, she pinned Nia out of nowhere. Nia Jax, who's been whomping her, and the main person from that Shayna Baszler monster tag team that's been crushing her for 2 months now. And they like broke her arm as a kayfabe and all these different things, right?
Sure.
So she's speaking to the New York Post, and she says about this, I'm being put in this position of looking less than because my husband went to AEW. She responds, it's insane. I think people are finally seeing what I'm made of for so long, being in stories where I'm an enhancement to the main characters, the main character. No problem. I love doing that. Not everyone can be Tom Hanks or Leonardo DiCaprio. Good little comparison there to her role. That's just the reality. I approach everything in WWE as I do in the world of acting. It's a compelling story. Not everyone can be the leading man or the leading lady. It's a hard pill for people to swallow, but this is show business and this is television. I've outlasted so many people here. You're not going to be able to kick me out. And I don't know. Maybe it's determination. And I think it's a lot of things, as I really haven't been best at anything in my life. I've always been the determination not to quit, to keep on going, to find a way no matter what, which does line up with her character. Even though she's not a great wrestler, she's in these positions and is somehow a part of the big moment with some of the women on these shows, and tends to be the more talked about thing than some women that people say is a better wrestler. Yet those wrestlers aren't getting the reactions that Lana's getting.
Yeah, I think it's really about positioning. I really do think Lana, to say she wasn't the best at something, I think, kind of being a little bit modest, because I thought she was really good in her role as Rusev's valet, as the Ravishing
fantastic. The tank, when she came out with the tank, and she was
that was her best. And you know what? She was like a force to be reckoned with. That's the vibe I got with her. And then once it transitioned out of that, I think she lost a lot of steam. And I think them incorporating her and putting her in the ring and stuff like that might have been a cool challenge for her personally and things like that. I just don't think it vibed necessarily a lot with you can debate if it's like, engaging to a lot of the fans and stuff like that. But, honestly, it's positioning when it comes to that. It's who gets those spots. And Lana certainly has worked from it. I'm sure. I don't want to downplay her, ability to her like drive or determination to do things. But like if you're pushing come to shove, there's a lot better wrestlers than Lana.
Yes. I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of great wrestlers. You look at a show like many different wrestling TV shows have great wrestlers. Here's the thing. A couple of years ago, getting fantastic matches from almost every single one on a show, every single person, man or woman on a show, wasn't always guaranteed. It wasn't always guaranteed. Now I would say it is guaranteed, and it's almost. I don't think a great in-ring bell-to-bell match means as much as it did on TV 4 or 5 years ago. As people want, give me something I haven't seen. Give me something I haven't seen. Give me something I want to see again. Give me. Turn me over faster and faster and faster. And Lana is the exception to that, where the idea is she's a diva in a woman superstar world. And that exception to her, she is the asterisk. She is of a bygone era. She could have been in the Attitude Era and probably been much more popular, maybe than she is now. And you look at the social media following. She has it. She knows how to work it. She knows how to work that audience. That is a modern millennial thing that maybe guys like you and I maybe take for granted. Younger wrestling fans that are teens or in their 20s care about Lana. And somebody that attracts that specific audience means a whole lot more now. When WWE has invested all this money in getting women to watch the show and take the wrestlers seriously and give them their own things to cheer for, I see some female wrestling fans, they just want to watch their faves. And Lana is one of their faves. And you can't deny when something is over. I don't think she's being buried, which is such an abused word right now in wrestling. Who's buried? Who isn't?
Yeah,
no,
I think that's a lot.
She's not. You don't get featured this much on television. You don't get it put in that role. You don't get to be the sole Survivor Series. Yeah, I know it's a comedy thing, but she's playing her role and she's hitting her mark. You know what I mean? Like she's doing her cues. That's it. She doesn't need to be a 5-star wrestler. I think hardcore wrestling fans, that's all we want. Yet when we get something else and it's over, it makes us mad. We don't want a Roman Reigns being popular. We don't want the kids cheering here. This is my show. This is my thing. I've been with this, but you started out when you were a kid, So that's
the pushback I would give though, Kev, is that there are talented women in the ring, but they're also those women are also talented as personas that might not have that opportunity that Lana's given. So like.
Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, who don't
Mandy Rose. I'm all using like Natalia for a long time. Like she shows up and she like obviously there's cachet with her and there's credibility there because she's like the name and everything to that. And so if you were to position her in those primary roles, I think that they're putting a cap by putting Lana in these primary roles instead of somebody else because you're not giving those other women the opportunity to show themselves either. And like you have that opportunity. So like for Vince to put somebody that doesn't have maybe the in-ring skill to do that, and you're having this angle going on, I think it's just kind of leveling out an audience rather than raising the sea level, so to speak, when it comes to that stuff. Does that make sense?
Understood. Yes. AEW tomorrow. We'll cover a little bit more WWE with the Slammys here in a few minutes, but I do want to talk about some AEW stories here. Big weeks for them ahead. This is a part of that shift in balance and power and different things they had. Competition was still present for them the past few weeks. We saw those big ratings boosts with Sting. Now those numbers have come down a little bit at a bad time. They still have a significant lead over NXT week to week here. But the numbers have come down from that big peak. All right. The edge has dulled just a little bit. Still very, very strong. Still very much have the lead. Problem this week, though, as they're going to have moving forward, is they're going to be preempted and delayed by the NBA this Wednesday, December 23rd. And we don't even know the exact time they're going to air because you still have a post game there, too. So the NBA, big game with the Bucks, big star from the league. NBA is a huge property that TNT and Warner Media have. They're going to play it the right way. It is the thing for them to do. Sorry, wrestling fans. I get it. But AEW will air late then at some point in the 11 p.m. Eastern hour, 10 p.m. Central hour. How do you manage this? Because NXT is going to be on, and if people don't want to watch the NBA game or it's a blowout, you're going to click over, and they're going to check that show out. So it is hard. Benefit for NXT on this night. They could end up having a bigger audience just based on what happens here because they're going to be in prime time. What do you think happens here? How does it play out for them?
I think you're on spot with the most part. I think NXT will get a higher rating. I think just naturally, wrestling fans will gravitate over to that aren't NBA fans.
Good night for wrestling fans. Good night for wrestling media people.
Yeah, yeah. Like you can do both.
I get to watch. We get to cover both shows. I won't be watching. Actually, I have a reason why I won't be watching.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Hey, but
I'll explain.
But yeah, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for AEW, and an ongoing challenge that will happen. But you know what? It's a matter of like another storm to be weathered. Both wrestling companies have weathered this pandemic for better, for worse, in a lot of ways. And this is just going to be another challenge. I think AEW has been more consistent and more on top of promoting upcoming weeks of matches and what's been going on. So I think that really speaks to their ability to think ahead and have some plans. So, and TNT is a very avid supporter of AEW. So, it's a cherished property to theirs, and they embrace it. So, they have their backs. So I think that in combination, they're going to make the most of it. Obviously, like NBA's king when it comes on TNT and things like that, because it is a top brand. Like that's what people will tune in for that, more so. So, but yeah, I think, it's just a matter, again, another storm to be weathered.
We're going to have a Gargano Christmas on NXT.
Is it just a Gargano Christmas, or is it
It's a Gargano Christmas?
Okay.
The Gargano Way have become their own faction with Johnny Gargano as the head figure. Entertaining stuff from NXT, putting together a fresh group that is half female, half men. So that's kind of unique.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see a very Gargano Christmas. Bronson Reed will be in action as well. But cool match I am looking forward to is Birch and Lorcan, the NXT Tag Team Champions, who have been under the endorsement of one Pat McAfee at War Games. Great match for them. One of the better matches of the year for NXT. They will take on Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, who they laid out weeks ago, in a street fight for the NXT Tag Team title. So that is a match to look forward to. Also down the line, not too far away from here, coming up on the 6th of January, NXT New Year's Evil, basically a takeover on the network, will feature Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. How does NXT fare here? They won't go head-to-head. It'll be the same night. They won't go head-to-head here. They could be that big alternative show to whatever is going on cable with NBA. There are Christmas specials, by the way, guys. Sometimes those are big draws.
That comes into play.
How does NXT fare here?
Do you mean on the Christmas, or like
just in general this week moving forward?
I think they'll be good. I did. It's good that they have a card out, and it's good that they have titles on the line and things like that. It's a matter of doing that more, I think. They haven't done that, and I think they kind of when AEW was really killing them in the ratings here the past couple weeks, they didn't have a lot of cards lined up. And now they do, I think it puts them in a good spot. Just a matter of delivering. I think a big criticism recently, particularly with ardent fans of NXT, is that it is kind of getting into that more entertaining and less sports and competitive vibe that NXT has.
But it works.
It worked. I'm just curious.
If you look at the quarter hours, it has helped people. So the thing is with NXT, you're going to get a great match. You're going to get at least one or two really, really good matches every single week, to the point where we're jaded to it. We know we're getting bangers every week. And you had a couple recently. They were really, really strong. And you had that Tyler Russ match out of nowhere with Tommaso Ciampa that you were not expecting. They made that guy in one match. He lost. They made him. And that was a great match. You love to see a star get made. They're doing that on NXT more than people think. And you've had those with AEW sometimes, where they'll be like, hey, we're going to go with these new guys and try something with it. I think they tried that a little bit last week with the Acclaim. Don't know if it actually hit the mark.
It was good. Yeah, I tell you what.
You liked it? I wasn't a huge fan of it.
You weren't a huge fan?
No, because it was just they give them a definitive win. I don't think you need to do that right out of the gate. Just have.
I liked it. It played into who they are, and it got a win against a team that is established, like an SCU, and I think it furthered into that. Obviously, you don't want that happening over and over and over again. But I thought it was a cool way to put him in there. A boombox, getting hit with a boombox. I thought it was cool. I liked it.
So that is what's going on with Wednesdays. We're kind of just touching on a lot of different things here. Another, I think, honestly, I know we have NXT and AEW tomorrow, but I think tomorrow, the 23rd, in the Wrestleverse, you log on your Twitter, you start looking at wrestling things. Tomorrow morning, it's really going to be about the Slammys. And this is going to take over the wrestling discussion because WWE is going to roll out their year-end award show, and they're going to say who had the match of the year and who was the superstar of the year and what was the rivalry of the year. This is something fans always argue about every year. This is not a very regular year for wrestling, to say the least. And it's a unique thing. They're not doing this on Monday Night Raw. They're not doing this on SmackDown, and they're not doing this on NXT. They're doing this completely digitally. What do you think of the unique rollout here? They're going to do this on the network, and you'll get it on all their socials.
It seems like a strange tactic, honestly, because they rolled out the nominees last week, and then I just felt like, okay, then you have the reaction to the ratings coming up and what you want to do about the ratings. So wouldn't this be just a good thing to kind of promote with weeks in advance and then just put it on either Raw or SmackDown or split it up in some form or fashion?
You know, some of that, I could see some of it as well, what you're saying. And there's been times when they do that Slammys edition of my Raw. It's fine, but it ends up being a lot of really talky stuff.
It is. That's true.
And maybe one or two real angles get cut out of it. So it's fine, but it ends up being a lot of just award shows are fun for moments, but you're watching for individual 30, 90-second moments. For a 3-hour TV show, I don't know if that's exactly the best idea. And SmackDown right now has some really hot angles that fans are tuning in. They want to see Roman Reigns and what he's doing. And they have an angle with him and Owens right now. And they've made a real formidable character in Owens to challenge him coming out of that TLC show. So I understand where they were going. So, and also, it's something where fans are going to talk about this online. They're going to debate about, well, no, that can't be the match of the year. We have those arguments all the time, right? How dare you say that this match was so much better than that? And my thing is play off of that, you know, and if that's what's happening socially, and that's something with WWE, a multi-billion-dollar company that you can lean into, that makes the network feel like something. I'm surprised it's not a network exclusive. I would make this a network exclusive.
Yeah, I think that would make just a lot more sense.
Or at least, you know, here, we're going to give away this award on Instagram and this award on YouTube. Come over to the network, you get everything.
Yeah, do like a show or something like that where you get.
True, but you know what? Everyone would be tweeting about it anyway. So why not just be a part of the discussion? So I don't get into it. Let's get into the awards here. You can vote, by the way, in a handful of awards, and then they have other ones that likely could set up some angles. You know, we're discussing this, that are just kind of like going to be appointed. And then there's other ones they have the moment of the year, which is not any matches, which they'll definitely use that to set up something.
Oh, absolutely.
They have also male and female superstar of the year. So you can still be the male superstar of the year, but not win superstar of the year, which is like one of those Grammy things. You know, like when you see the Grammy awards.
Album, and then
it's album, record, and then it'll be like rap duo, rap solo, R&B solo, dance. Like they do all these different things so that they can get, so that like if they can get a Beyonce on there, they're going to Beyonce on there. So it's a way to get the stars on the show and maybe give them awards. When I see people freak out about that stuff, I was like, you're just getting worked, you know? So here's what we have. We'll vote. We'll vote now. Okay. And superstar of the year. So this is men and women. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, The Fiend, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. So that's quite the list of superstar talent. I don't know who to give it to. I don't know who to vote for.
I do.
Who do you give it to?
I'm giving it to Roman. Roman's
giving it to Roman. Why do you go with Roman for the
because not only do you have his like big return, but you have his heel turn. You have him basically like just setting a huge, I think, vital tone to the WWE product that is like, you know, anytime a Roman match is going on, that's all that's being talked about, and that's like, and for rightful reasons, because he's on a new level, and it's a persona and a take of and like mixing family with the angle and storyline, everything. Paul Heyman in the mix, him like not acknowledging Heyman, like kind of like Heyman acting in fear. A lot of different neat elements that this Roman Reigns has presented. I honestly think, he's undoubtedly, hands down, my superstar of the year.
I wouldn't be against that. There's other people I could see winning this that it wouldn't upset me. I don't feel Braun will have it. Braun did get to have the title, but it wasn't a particularly great title run.
No.
And people saw when Roman came into the picture that was a little bit more of an exciting title run. The Fiend is a really compelling character. And in WWE, he is probably the most sports entertainment thing they have that is undeniably over and is captivating. You and I see it. We see the numbers. We see people talk about it. There isn't a character that people want to know what that character is going to do next. Outside of Roman Reigns, it's Fiend, and he's a character that appeals to people that like comic books and anime, and they want a supernatural character in wrestling. He's their guy. He's for millennials, for teens, he's their Undertaker. I know that's kind of controversial to say. So, I mean, if he was to win it, it wouldn't surprise me. Sasha Banks could win this. This could be a surprise if they want to go with a female. I can see her getting this as a surprise with all the hubbub she's gotten from being on The Mandalorian and that being such a big show. So those could be some possible upsets, but I do agree with you. Roman Reigns could be the guy here. Match of the year. This is the most debatable one. All right. Most debatable one. All right. Undertaker versus AJ Styles Boneyard match. Great match. This one, a little bit of a surprise, a Raw Tag Team Championship match from Raw, November 16th, 2020. So that's just a few weeks ago. Between New Day and Hurt Business. I do remember that being a particularly great match. I almost wish that was the pay-per-view match they had where they put the titles on them. Edge versus Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever at Backlash. Was fantastic. The Men's Royal Rumble, that was one of the better Royal Rumbles they've ever done. People have argued with me that. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, the Intercontinental Championship Tournament final on SmackDown, June 12th. Ooh, that was one of the best SmackDown matches of the year, pound for pound. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, Universal Title, Hell in a Cell, I Quit match at Hell in a Cell. That was great. There are two Hell in a Cell matches also on this. Sasha Banks versus Bayley, Hell in a Cell in October. Styles versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy, the IC title ladder match from Clash of Champions. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, Survivor Series 20. I got to agree with him here. And Becky Lynch versus Asuka, Royal Rumble 2020. So what do you pick there? There's a lot of really strong matches on that list that I thought coming out of pay-per-views, those were the matches that people were saying were the best on those pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I just think for the momentous level of it, and it is nominated for Moment of the Year or Undertaker's Farewell. If Undertaker doesn't win Match of the Year, he's going to get Moment of the Year here. I can see people going with Taker Styles.
Yeah.
In terms of what fans are going to vote for here.
I think that makes the most sense, honestly, because it's like the first cinematic match that we really had.
Very influential. You saw AEW would do the Stampede match. Obviously, Impact had done these before, Final Deletion. And stuff
all that stuff.
They did some of those already. And then WWE themselves would see, like, all right, we got to do more of this, and they would do it with the Extreme Horror Show, which wasn't particularly a fun one.
I like. I think that's the one I would go with. My other one would probably be just like from my aspect is Drew versus Roman.
Drew versus Roman was great. Notice a lot of these are lean on. Just about half of this is from June on. So I mean. You only have one match for WrestleMania that made that list, but that was very early in the pandemic, when they're rolling with the vibe of what this is.
Well, the funny thing is from a technical or like performance standpoint, the show stealer from that was Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, wasn't it?
WrestleMania weekend. Yeah. I can see that, but the Styles Undertaker thing was just so unique.
It was. I know. Yeah.
And at the same time, still very brutal. And
from physical. A WWE standpoint, how, entertainment's like the presentation, the pomp and circumstance, it makes sense for that one to be.
Yeah. I really loved Edge and Orton. I remember thinking that was Edge came back at the Rumble. They did the match at WrestleMania. It was great. But in terms of just a bell-to-bell singles match,
it was special. I liked it a lot. I did too. Particularly after the WrestleMania match, which you kind of liked the WrestleMania match though, right?
Like I did. I did like the WrestleMania match. It just went a little bit too long.
It did, yeah. So I think that was a great follow up. I think the only thing that really takes away from it is like they presented it as like a full like uncut match, but they had a lot of cuts and retakes and things. That's the only criticism I'd really have of that match. Otherwise, I really did like it. It was a good match, you know. So.
Isaam Walker saying the triple threat ladder match was the match of the year. I agree that was very underrated. Sami Zayn did some great work in there, and they did the bit where they did another weird thing with Jeff Hardy's ear piercing where they like handcuffed his ear. Michael asking, is Edge Orton on the list? Yes, it is. It is on the list of match of the year. So if you're watching on demand or you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, don't forget to hit that like button and get in the comments below. Let us know what you think is the match of the year, all these different things. These are strong lists. This reminds you, like, you know, it's been a bad year, but WWE put on some great matches this year. Like, it makes me look at this. I'm like, these are all really good. The Royal Rumble was great this year.
Oh, yeah. The Royal Rumble was awesome. I mean,
I remember watching that in the moment, and I was watching with fans that are smart and they know what's going on. And they kept thinking, like, this sucks. Brock's wrecking all my favorites. He took out Nakamura. He took out Cesaro. It sucks. He's just going to ruin everyone. Look at what they're doing. They're going Brock again. Brock had the title. Didn't Brock have the title in that? Brock had the championship. He had the WWE championship, and he was in the Rumble.
Oh, he was gonna, and if he won, what was gonna happen? He didn't have to.
It wasn't clear what was gonna. He was gonna pick somebody or something like that.
Was that what was gonna happen? I can't remember.
He was in the Rumble, but he was destroying people, people. And
didn't he eliminate like 19 people? Was it 19 or
yes, like 13, something like that.
Okay.
And Keith Lee got the rub with him in there, even though Keith Lee didn't get to eliminate him. Keith Lee got to like hang with him and feel good. But once Drew got in there, Drew just immediately, you said that you're like, oh God, Drew's taller than him. Drew's bigger than Brock. And Drew's talking shit. Highly suggest you guys check out Drew McIntyre on Stone Cold Sessions. I spent some time with that late Monday after Survivor Series. Really great watch. What a story of a guy who like really got his head right and figured things out. And once he was ready, he was ready.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I still feel his special moment, maybe a moment, is owed to him because of that.
Absolutely.
You know, and the work he put in this year and the way he's evolved and adapted to everything this year. So great matches all around. Rivalry of the year, just overall storylines of the year. Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family. McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Edge versus Randy Orton. Sasha Banks versus Bayley. R-Truth versus the world. Lana versus announce tables. I can see this one you can vote on. I can see fans just saying Lana versus announce tables just for the goof, right?
Just for the humor aspect. Were those the only options, Kev?
These are the rivalry year, and you can vote on this one. You can vote on this one at WWE.com. Okay. Those are the options.
I don't know about this one.
The Rollins Mysterio one was fun the first few months, even though they had that goofy match at Extreme Rules that fans.
Yeah,
it just went too long. That went really, really long. That was a little bit. Sometimes going too long was too. McIntyre and Orton, all of those matches they had on TV were compelling. And they had one of the better Raw segments of the year with Randy Orton taking out Ric Flair and the promo and everything like that.
It's true.
Enjoy that. Randy Orton cut some great promos this year. And his stuff with Edge was really compelling.
With Edge, yeah.
So what would you pick?
I guess just the one that stood out. I'm not saying I ultimately like there. I think it dragged on too much, but Edge Orton.
Edge and Orton? I could see that. And it isn't even done. You know, like
I know. Well, I think that's a detriment to it. It should be.
Yeah, but that was just an injury. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Sometimes those things happen. You know, and you just roll with it. And
I know. Like I said before, I think Joe, though, people want to see Edge face new people. I think that's a big thing.
Maybe it's just something you wrap up and you get to that.
Yeah, if they do that, hey, I'm okay with that.
Or you have the Edge do that before he can get back to Orton.
Yeah, something.
Tag team of the year, the Golden Role Models, Sasha Banks and Bayley. They were at one point a very entertaining tag team and one of the bigger things on WWE television before they broke up. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, The New Day, Street Profits, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro. Called The Collective was a name that they got used on TV, and a lot of people have argued about why WWE should even call anything The Collective. That's a whole nother story. What's your tag team of the year for WWE? I can see Golden Role Models getting it because they were. Yeah, I think they should. I think they should as well. I think fans should go in that direction. Both of those superstars have a lot of following online.
This is fan vote too, Kev. Is this one a fan vote?
This is a fan vote one too.
Yeah, I think Golden Role Models. I think that's one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, New Day had a fine year. They got broken up. Nothing big. Street Profits shouldn't be underrated. I think Street Profits is like they had to do a whole lot of work this year.
I think if I were to rank it, it would be Golden Role Models. It would be Street Profits, and then Hurt Business wasn't an option.
Hurt Business, no, because they really didn't get going as a team until September.
Okay. Then probably New Day after that. Then
Return of the year: Sami Zayn, Goldberg, MVP, Roman Reigns, or Edge. Pretty sure this one goes Edge. Sure.
Help me out here, Kev.
Go to Edge. Anyone who gets the big Royal Rumble surprise return is going to get return.
Help me out here, though. Did Roman come back from leukemia this year, though, too?
No, that was last year.
That was last year?
That was going into WrestleMania in New Jersey.
Okay, I'm going Edge then. Otherwise,
I'm going Edge as well. And Roman came back this year because he went away.
He went away.
He just had his kids. The pandemic had just gotten going. It was scary. That was one of the. I'll say that was the biggest story for WrestleZone this year. Bigger than WrestleMania in terms of traffic and people reading.
Roman coming back.
Yeah. But Edge coming back. Edge coming back is it?
Oh yeah.
They have ring gear of the year. That's fine. That's just outfits stuff like that. Who's good on this list? And I want to talk about. I think Bianca Belair is a cool look. I think she could win that one. Breakout star of the year. This one's a little bit more interesting to me. I like this one. Dominic Mysterio, Bianca Belair, Otis, the Street Profits, Murphy. A lot of interesting picks there. A lot of people who kind of got their first big run, whether you could say it was big or not, but I mean, they definitely made a mark. All those people made a mark this year. I think Bianca Belair, the only male or the only non-male on this list. I can see her having a very big 2021. I think some very, very big things for her at WrestleMania this year. Dominic Mysterio, I think, would be the pick I would go with here.
Me too.
Even though he's cooled a little bit in the past few months. His match at
first match against Rollins at SummerSlam.
He had a great cage match as well on TV on Monday at Raw and a street fight. I would go with Dominic Mysterio.
Absolutely, that was my choice too, Kev.
Female superstar of the year. They have Asuka, Sasha, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte. So I mean, whoever the big female star that doesn't win the male one is gonna get that one.
I'm going Bayley.
I'm going Bayley as well, but I could see Sasha getting it just because of the Mandalorian thing. If she doesn't get that male one, she's gonna get this one.
Now, if we're going from maybe like an angle standpoint, I would go Sasha. But if we're going from like legit who deserves it, I would say Bayley.
As a workhorse, like carrying thing?
Yeah, somebody that
and getting that title where you want to put it on somebody and it means something. Yes,
and who's super shined during a pandemic, like
and evolved, no crowd. Like completely came into the Karen heel character.
Absolutely,
you know, and like you are not thinking about like fangirl Bayley anymore. You're not.
You think about and you that too. You not only think about that, but there was so many questions about could she portray a heel. And like I was even suspicious of it, and sure enough, she can like with flying colors. So I think undoubtedly she is the female superstar of the year.
Gavin Coombs saying Murphy for sure. He's the guy that he wants to see the breakout superstar of the year.
I think he was on the lower end of the totem pool. Honestly, he's good. Don't get me wrong.
Great matches though this year.
He's had great matches, but I think I just think there was a lot of other candidates that probably Bianca I would have put above him. Several other ones I think.
Our very own Tyler Treese is trolling us. Come on now, Tyler.
Oh, is he? Don't do that. I love it when Tyler trolls.
Tyler trolling here. Triple T trolling Tyler Treese, saying Edge versus Otis is what the people want. They want a fresh matchup for Edge. They want it against the ham slam of him. I don't know if
honestly I really like Otis. I do. I think he's gotten a short end of the stick in certain ways.
He's a fun character. And honestly, and also looks like a wrestler.
Even though I think, Kev, you give him the money in the bank, you deliver it on some form of fashion. Whether he wins a title or whether he doesn't, you pay it off there. I think it was a huge mistake for them to take the suitcase off him. I think it kind of downplayed the value of Money in the Bank suitcase, and I think it downplayed Otis overall, and them not following up with it. I think that's really
I do think he's probably the biggest victim of circumstance this year in WWE, along with Drew, of a guy who was really driven by organic fan reactions. Like in that early part of 2020, Otis in the ring with heavy machinery was over. Like this guy was getting loud pops for everything he was doing.
Yeah.
And I would say he's one of those guys, as we got away from fan reactions and you have to work in this studio environment now, even with the Thunderdome, right?
Yeah.
That he's one of those guys that maybe, him going to the Performance Center makes sense because he didn't have the reps. You know, they don't have house shows anymore. They don't have guys that can build up their mojo from that. And I do think he's one of those guys that got bit by simply just not having that every single week. I do think they could have done something better with the Money in the Bank. Yeah. I do think he has some come up on that. Like he has maybe some interaction between him and Miz in the Royal Rumble would be sweet and a sweet fruit to dangle. And he doesn't have to win the Royal Rumble. Miz doesn't have to win the Royal Rumble. But if they tangle in the Royal Rumble, that's a fun surprise. Like there's some history there and they can pay it off. One of those fun little nuggets in there, or at least a big slice of ham for him to bite into. I could see him bouncing back faster than people think. I mean, beat Nakamura this week on TV.
Yeah, that's crazy to think.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Tokyo Dome main eventer going down.
That guy won the Royal Rumble.
You're right. That guy won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
that's a whole other story there. A moment of the year. Now, this is the one where I think WWE's did this when fans don't vote on this, but WWE should be able to decide what these things are from their side too. Undertaker's final farewell Survivor Series. A lot of people talked about it. All right. Drew McIntyre defeats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch announces her pregnancy. That was quite a moment. Edge returns at the Men's Royal Rumble. So if he doesn't get Return of the Year, he's getting this. New Day's farewell address. That was a moment, even though they are technically still very much a squad of sub form, even though they're in different shows. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman unite on SmackDown. Bayley betrays Sasha Banks. New Day gets drafted to different brands. So New Day is like kind of twice in this list.
Yes.
What is the moment? What is an in-ring moment for you from WWE?
That's
your time frame.
You know, if you're WWE, I could really see them doing Taker's farewell. But I think like just that pure organic natural moment of Edge returning and his reaction to the crowd reacting to him, that's moment of the year undoubtedly. I think you can't manufacture that. I think that's something that's one of a kind and something wrestling doesn't get very often. You know,
is someone like the Undertaker something special like that that's otherworldly?
Huh?
What, I'm sorry, I just clipped out for a second on my audio. What was your answer there?
Oh, my answer is Edge. Edge is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Taker the Undertaker thing. You clipped out, then you popped back on. I hope people heard what you said.
I hope they did too. But I said that Taker. I think from a WWE standpoint, you would go Taker maybe, but I think organically, and the one that really deserves it is Edge's return and his reaction to his return and his reaction to the crowd's reaction. That would be mine.
Absolutely. I agree. I think it was a very, very special thing. The end of 2019, that was the biggest story that WrestleZone covered. And it was something we were ahead of on, something we were told. Remember when we were told about that? We were told, do not say anything. But here's the day when we can run with this story, and we're going to run. And boy, are we going to run. And I remember I think it was right around the time that we knew that Styles and Undertaker were going to do something at WrestleMania too. So like the big wrestling things were coming together months before the pandemic. But I remember when we heard about that and we knew it was late November. It was late November 2019. We knew that we were going to get Edge at Royal Rumble. And we got the word within WrestleZone, like, we know this. We don't know who does. And we're asked to not put the story out until a certain time frame. Okay. So obviously we're going to have to put it out before Royal Rumble. They know that. Sources and everybody like that know that. But you remember that feeling of just like, oh, that's awesome. It was just like good. And it was because it's something we didn't think we were going to get. He was years away from wrestling. He was clearly well into an acting career, and this guy retired because he was told this isn't going to happen. You can't do this anymore. And so it is. And it felt like when Daniel Bryan came back, it felt so good because you love this character and this performer and what they bring to the table. And it feels right. When Roman came back, that was so special. You know?
Yeah.
So some of those really organic things where you just love a performer, and WWE with everything that they can do to build up to, with the editing, with the production, with the way they can frame everything. Those are great things. And it's almost like, I wonder what Roman's return would have been like with a crowd. This year where he came back and he was a heel. Why the baby girls, all the little kids and the young women that love Roman, what their reaction to him being a heel would be like. So there's some of those reactions we didn't get the full real, from this year, and AEW as well. Like the great matches that they had. Mind you, they have an audience, right? They have an audience, but I mean a real audience. And I would say as we look at these Slammy Awards, that is something I'm so looking forward to. We're going to get it in 2021 before the end of the year. I think we're going to have something from one of the big companies. We're going to get it in a couple weeks here from New Japan. If you really want to see what a wrestling show feels like in a big stadium setting, you're going to get it from them in a few weeks here on the 4th and the 5th at Tokyo Dome. 20,000 fans expected to attend.
Wow.
Japan, completely different place right now with the pandemic. They have people going to movies. They have one of the healthiest cinematic box office markets in the world right now. So different places in the world with the pandemic, but isn't that the thing we're looking forward to in 2021, Dom?
100%. Jeez, oh man. Like feeling of going to a movie or a live event, show, concert, wrestling event. Ooh, man. People are itching for it, and we're gonna get it.
And I don't. Is the weird thing? We don't even need it to be great. We just need to be there, and there's gonna be that weird do we? This is when we boo, right? Yeah. We gotta boo. There's gonna be that tripping over yourselves to get back into it.
Kev, what's super interesting too, dude, back to your other point, is think of how different a lot of things would be from a wrestling perspective.
Sure.
If there was a live crowd, you think not only would Roman Reigns be a heel right now because he wouldn't have gone away for that time. Do
you want to take your most cherished, beloved fan favorite, and he is Roman Reigns and put him in that role? You're right? Could that happen?
Could that have happened? Or you also look at other things from an AEW perspective. Where would Matt Hardy be right now? His broken gimmick really relied on a crowd reaction, and that kind of having that, and him not having that kind of left him on this snake-bitten path of where he's trying to find his identity in AEW. There's a lot of different ones that come into play. You think about Bayley and Sasha, where would they be? Because Bayley really flourished as a heel without a crowd because of, I think, her vocalization in the ring and the personality that she brought out to supplement not having a crowd there. So I think there's a lot of different things that not having a crowd. Look at what we got because we didn't have a crowd. And I wonder where that would lead us to today if that was not the case.
Yeah. One of the better moments recently, Sting's return, AEW, his return, that walkout, that we're talking about the natural endorphin adrenaline rush of a crowd. And it is something we hear about every single week is the most over theme song in wrestling right now is Chris Jericho's Judas, right? And so he walks out, the crowd sings it, and it feels so different. And applaud or critique WWE. I think the Thunderdome is a great thing for what WWE has the capability to do and be as safe as they can and mitigate risk and present something that feels way bigger than we're in a gym and we have a couple of people around it. And
we talked about this before too, is you look at what WWE was presenting before the Thunderdome and how it was kind of troublesome, until you got that presentation where it kind of felt more
delivery. It was also all right, the sound mix is right. We know how to mix it with pre-dub sound. All right. It took a while for them to get it right. And SummerSlam, they went right out of the gates with it. We're going to do it on a network TV. Then we're going to do it right on SummerSlam. And there was this weird, Orwellian, too many screens. But now we live in a world where that's what we do. So I think maybe people just had to get used to it.
It's a little bit, it was an adjustment for sure. Yeah.
Yes, it was an adjustment for sure. And if any other companies do it, it's not like, oh, they're ripping off WWE. No, they just have to adapt to what's going on. I wouldn't feel bad if a Ring of Honor or an Impact or even an AEW presented something like this, because I'd just be like,
honestly, we talk about this too. Like Impact almost needs something like that. There's just
sure. And Ring of Honor's putting on some great stuff, and they almost need that. And I really feel you're going to have a lot of people talking about New Japan when that show comes out, because a lot of casual fans don't. I'm not ripping on New Japan. They don't follow New Japan until they get to the Dome, right? And this is the time of year when people talk about them. This is their biggest time of the year, and a lot of American wrestling fans are going to watch those shows and feel really, really, really jealous that those crowds get to have that European fan.
Yeah.
And so applaud them for that, for what they're doing with it, and the limited things that they've done. People are calling.
Uh-oh. Kev's breaking news.
Calling. All right, let's get into our wrestling Festivus.
Okay.
The airing of grievances. All right.
I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're gonna hear about them.
Wait, give me some more George Costanza's dad lines there. What did you say?
What is that supposed to mean?
Festivus. George Costanza, his father,
good old
by the great Jerry
R.I.P. Jerry Stiller, who we lost this year.
Jerry Stiller, one of the best in the biz, right? It's Wrestling Festivus, and Festivus is not a holiday of celebration, but of determination. It is feats of strength and the airing of grievances. Yes, wrestle your father in a living room floor. And this is based on a Seinfeld episode, and it's basically a holiday that is secular for people that want to have a holiday. And it's just like contrarian. And what is more contrarian than wrestling fans getting on the internet bitching and saying Vince and Tony needs to do this and Vince needs to do that, and talking about billionaires as if they know them on a first name basis. That is my number one grievance as someone who has to handle social media for WrestleZone on a wide scale and deal with thousands and thousands of wrestling fans every single week. Stop talking about Vince McMahon like you know what is going on in his head, like you know exactly what he is. I hate how people say Vince. You've never met him.
I say it all the time, Kev. You got my tweets.
It's just the Vince thing gets under my. It is a grievance. It is I have aired that grievance many, many times.
Have you?
People saying, "Oh, he's this, so he's so old, so he should." How you would never say that about Walt Disney. You would never say Walt Disney's so old, so he should go away. This is his creation. He is Spielberg. He has made this thing, and I don't think anyone has the high ground to tell him he has to give it up because he made it. It's his playground. He built the theme park, guys. All right, so he gets to say what he wants. Now, should more people be involved in the process? Sure. All right, and there's a lot of people involved in the process. But no, my first grievance is people freaking out about WWE and being ageist. Really, I think people are ageist. You know, people in their young age saying that someone who's older than them shouldn't have a say when someone who's older than them is putting in the time.
Kev, I don't want to say I 100% disagree with you, but I'm very close to 100% disagreeing with you.
Give it to me.
Vince, number one, has to step down. It's time. It's time. And I think from a creative standpoint, it would be maybe now this would be a different story if Vince was a different person, because if he had a willingness to let people like the late Pat Patterson have his ear and give them advice and him listening to them, I think that's a different thing. But he is getting in the way of furthering his product and building stars. I think there's so many different factors from what you see week to week, from long term, from the breaking of goodwill with fans, and not following up and thinking that fans forget things and they won't think about it next week. I understand the criticism to fans because you cannot always react to fans. You cannot. It's just you want to ultimately give them what they want, but you can't be reactionary to, day by day, minute by minute, anything like that. I think, but Vince is very out of touch right now. I think a lot of what plays into his ability, his inability to understand it is his disenfranchisement with sports in general, and not knowing the competitive and the stakes of wins and losses. I think he's really lost track of that. I think that's just been a huge problem. And then putting the cap on superstars, and I think that's my number one area of favorites.
To disagree. So I don't agree with that. The out of touch thing is the most ridiculous thing to me when people say he's out of touch. I bring up this. Everything we talked about that was great this year, that was great, that you liked from WWE. All of those matches, every single one of them has his thumbprint on him, has his guidance, has his hand, has him behind it producing it. Suddenly, when something's great in WWE, no one ever brings up his name. But when something's bad, oh, he's the first person you bring up, right? He's the first. He takes all the weight. He's the coach, right? Team has a bad season, get rid of the coach. So I get that logic. He's at the top, so let's change him, right? And so I get that. But it's different when he's not just hired by the people that own WWE. He is WWE. He's created it. So I think he's put in the equity, so he has gotten that. So he puts it all down, so he gets to the winnings. But I don't think people give him the credit for things like Kofi Kingston last year. He was incredibly institutional in putting Kofi in that position with Daniel Bryan. That was him. That doesn't feel special if he's not involved.
The criticism comes. You put his feet to the fire. The fans put his feet to the fire.
I'm agreeing with you.
He had no choice. The same with Daniel Bryan 6 years ago, or we're in WrestleMania 30. And now the same says for Kofi Kingston of this year. He had to be pushed to do that, and the payoff ended up. Yes, he did. But the credit should go to him for actually doing that.
We're going longer than I thought today, Dom. I'm sorry. When we got into this grievance thing, we're going a lot longer. I thought Slammys took a while. We're going longer than we thought. This grievance thing, I don't want to keep you on too long. You're being very, very good to me here.
That's okay.
But let's give me a grievance. I give you mine. Is people being a little bit too mad about?
Well, that was my number one grievance. Was that one?
Oh, so that is a grievance. So
that was
I had the head of the coin. You had the tail of the coin. We had two different sides.
That was my number one grievance.
All right, well, give me your number two. We have two more grievances.
Number two, I would probably say, well, since I do two Dynamite dudes, I'm gonna go an AEW one.
I have some AEW ones as well. Sure.
Yeah. I think it might be a lot of the same. I know what probably one of yours is, but I feel what I think needs to happen is a focus more on more tightened up. Less focus on the moves and the pageantry of those moves, and more of a focus on storytelling. That's my big thing. And
100%. 100%. I'll even add to it. AEW now needs to live up to the hype. I'll say that they have to live up to what they sold themselves as, and live up to it every single week at almost a standard that you think might be unreasonable. But you've set an unreasonable standard with what the show is. We're going to change the world. We're going to flip the whole wrestling thing on its head. We're going to make wrestling feel like this. And you're going to have all these things. But now you have to live up to it. You have to play within the parameters you've set for yourself. And you're not limited by them, but you have to hit the points on them. The fundamental things that you've talked about. And what is the word I use? Indulgence.
Indulgence. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was like, this is going to be
indulgence. Yes, the indulgence of AEW was alarming last week when you had Kenny Omega, your new world champion, in a main event. He went through a table and 60 seconds later won a match.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
And the table meant nothing. The table spot was ugly, by the way. That was not.
I tell you what, Marcus.
I think Joey Janela landed ass first on him.
You want a bad cop? Marcus, my brother, is the bad cop when it. I mean, he makes awesome points, very awesome points, but he doesn't pull any punches either. it's like, and he was very critical of Joey Ryan, not Joey Ryan. Oh God, Joey Janela. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Kev. It's self-indulgence is a thing that obviously I love the creativity and I love superstars having leverage over promoter, but there certainly is a balance when it comes to that. And
I would say that's the issue that AEW has, is that their talent has leverage over the people that hold the pencil.
They're much on the opposite. Like Vince, I think, has too much to the one, and then you have
everything about WWE that maybe has worked for too long, and people think they just need to flip it up completely. None of those things are there on AEW, so I think maybe that's why people like it. It's big time wrestling. It's not WWE. That's the appeal. That's the number one appeal of AEW, is not any one individual star, any individual match. It feels like WWE, but it's not. It's not copying WWE. It's presented just as big as it is, but it's not WWE. But the thing is, now you have that momentum. Now you have to live up to the hype. It's put up or shut up is what I'm getting.
I'm almost there with you, and I still really do.
They're not there yet. You're right. They're almost there, but they're not there yet.
I'm not like okay, it's crunch time. I'm giving them a benefit of a doubt and leeway because they are still a relatively new company. So I feel, but to your point, they're also on a mainstream television product. You're trying to attract big fans, so you really do have to be tightened up with stuff.
But I know my major grievance with AEW that is bigger. It's my grievance that I will share with you at the end of 2021 if I don't see it.
Okay.
They need to be on HBO Max.
Okay.
They need to be on HBO Max. HBO Max by Warner Media, the main company now. AEW is its own entity. It owns its own content. It presents and produces its own content with a TV partner that obviously gives them a lot of production muscle to help do these shows, and has put AEW in a whole other game-changing realm. All right. They would not be what they are without TNT. This show would not be what it is if it was on a different channel, if it wasn't on the top 75 channels of these things. But Warner Media has TNT. But that same company is putting a lot more effort this year with everything changing in the pandemic. They're taking their entire cinematic portfolio of first-run blockbuster movies. Wonder Woman 84 is going to be presented on HBO Max day and date in theaters. Yeah. The rub of seeing your brand next to those brands of Warner Brothers saying, we have AEW on HBO Max, the best of AEW, the best of Dynamite. Here, watch AEW All Out. Is wrestling going to stick out like a sore thumb to people that don't know wrestling on that network? Yes, but that's treating this thing like it's a real property. Now, at the same time, you don't see HBO Max presenting anything from the NBA. They don't have the rights to do that. Could they do the best of the NBA? Would those even work? Would highlights on HBO Max even be a thing? My thing is, wrestling is different. It is that perfect bridge, sports entertainment content, that perfect intersection between the two. That's why I think they get a great rub from being next to the NBA on TNT, on TV. But on HBO Max, now you're getting it for this whole other fandom. You're getting this whole other world. Now you're talking about people that tune in for very broad net. And you get that, the rub would be incredible, even if it's just an ounce, and I do think they do throw a big net and say, we're going to have these big pay-per-views and you're going to pay $50 a pop and we're going to do it the old way, right? Too many fans are this new way. You get my 10, 15 bucks and I'm paying and I get the whole wealth of things. People can argue about WWE, but if you didn't watch Raw, you could still pay for the network and get your money's worth. Mm-hmm. You could never watch Raw again and you still get your money's worth.
There's so much backlog. There's so much new documentaries coming out.
So, and AEW's not in a position to launch anything like that right now. Maybe they could, but your second tier show is running for free on the internet. Mm-hmm. So, they put some of their big pay-per-views on YouTube, right, to pop numbers and views, right? HBO Max has to happen. It has to happen. It has to be something that they're thinking about or at least trying to do. BR Live is fine, but you're paying $50 for pay-per-view. You ask me to pay $15 or $20, or maybe there's a premium. Maybe I get HBO Max, and you tell me, hey, if you pay an extra $10, we're going to give you that live pay-per-view. Mind you, there's no live portal on HBO Max, but it's doable. This is a huge company. They're capable of doing this. Yeah. So my big thing with AEW is I want to see them on HBO Max. I'm paying $15 a month. If I could get not even just like the best of, if it was just like, here are the best matches from AEW in 2020, that'd be a great way to introduce them to a lot of new fans.
As long as you're a presence on there, I'm with you. Yeah.
I know I'm rambling a little bit, but that's my major AEW grievance. Give me one more grievance. Give me another grievance here. Did you do 2 already? Did you do 2?
I got 2. Yeah, I did 2. I did AEW and then I did Vince stepping down. So number 1, this is my third one, is this is an industry wide, is less wink wink nod nod at the camera and more, hey, this is a legitimate product, and more kayfabe. I want kayfabe back. That's what I want. That's my airing of the grievances. There's too much to the one way where you're you're pulling the curtain back and you're showing us how the meat's made. And I think it's time that, like, what is old is new again, and you bring back a kayfabe vibe. Our intelligence isn't insulted if you act a certain way and you present yourself in a certain light that might not, hey, we might know who you really are, but don't show us, I
show your ass.
And I feel you be selective when you do it. I think somebody like Orange Cassidy can certainly get over. I love Orange Cassidy. I think Orange Cassidy is an enigma unto himself, where I think you present him that way.
He's a great example of what's good about that and what's bad about that.
Exactly. So I feel he's somebody. If you let everybody else kind of play their thing and you let Orange Cassidy do his thing, I think it's a match made in heaven in a lot of ways. But I think just less of wink wink nod nod, more sports like feel, more kayfabe vibe. That's my big three.
I think part of that is just the just 2020 forcing so much wrestling to be towards, all right, you have to connect with people watching. The idea of connecting with fans. Well, if I connect with a live audience, I've connected with people watching at home. That's fair. That's fine science, fine thinking. But I agree. Things went that way naturally because all we have is the camera. All we have now is that. And even with AEW, they have 800 fans, but they're not within. All right, so I'll play to the camera first. They'll definitely do that. And with WWE, they did it. Drew McIntyre said at WrestleMania when he beat Brock, he immediately did that great moment where he put the hand out to the camera,
which was great.
And he said, this is for you. I know everyone's watching this. This isn't that was a great example of playing to the camera that worked. But I think so many people, just because it's circumstantial, have gotten a little bit too winky, have gotten a little bit too smart. WWE's done it themselves as well.
Both companies out. Yeah.
And it's just a dialing thing in. And it's also kind of like weathering the storm. It's uncharted waters. But as we get closer, you're going to see this weird, as I mentioned, when we get to those first few live events, those are going to be momentous. Those are going to be special things. And the reactions may be weird, or the reactions may be bigger than no one's expecting, or you may be watching and you're like trying to process the idea of fans in a crowd again. It's going to be this whole other thing. It's going to be like learning to walk again. It's going to be, there's going to be a gap there where we're going to have to even get used to the idea of being in an audience. There's going to be a transitional period. Are we going to have full audiences? Are we going to have fans at WrestleMania? It's still a question we're asking ourselves. So certainly a lot to get into. I enjoyed this organic segment. Dom, you and I always go into some weird tirade here. I wanted to go 45 minutes. We went 72. So there we go. Mm-hmm. I said, hey, we'll try and keep it short.
It's all right.
That's all right. Dom, 2 Dynamite dudes with attitudes. What do we have coming up this week? Obviously, you guys have a lot going on here with the Holiday Bash episodes of AEW.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Christmas is coming around the bend, obviously. So, and Marcus and I have been doing the AEW draft. It'll be round 4 of the AEW draft coming up. But not only that, you have to look forward to our recap of the Holiday Bash, but we'll also have Marcus and I are going to do a little gift exchange on there. We're not going to meet up for Christmas before we record. So what we're going to do is we're each going to present.
Are you doing a physical Christmas thing with like limitations?
We're going to do a physical Christmas thing on the air when we record.
Yeah, I'm doing that with the family this year. I have some hesitation, but we're taking all the precautions we need to. And I hope, obviously, everyone out there, you guys have a self-induced, all right, I'm going to do all the things I need to do. We all have to do the things we need to do. That's the problem. Right. One little kink in the chain is what causes these issues here, guys.
Mm-hmm. And you take all the precautions you need to. You do what you got to do, and hopefully it all comes together. But yeah, Marcus and I, we will meet up eventually. But before we do we'll be recording the podcast, so we each got something wrestling related that we've got for one another, so we'll exchange that on the air as well. And but yeah, it should be a good time. Always good to cover. You get a lot of different takes. Marcus and I disagree on a lot of stuff when it comes to AEW, but we also see a lot of things.
I tend to agree with Marcus quite a bit on the show.
What was that?
You and I disagree a lot, but I tend to agree with Marcus a little bit on the show.
Yeah, how about it?
I've been talking about this. You have your brother. You have your wrestling brother. I have my wrestling brother by blood, Brendan, who's done some artwork and different things I've nagged him. And for a period of the year, I actually had to do the show from his apartment because my internet was wonky. So big thank you to him as well. We got to do something where we do D'Angelo Brothers versus the Callums trivia.
We got it. We've been talking about this. We got to build the hype. It's like
something
FDR, the Young Bucks.
Yeah. But Marcus will be so much more on board than my brother is. My brother will be like, Kev, come on, he follows, but he's cash. He's like, I check out that he gets the network and he watches the specials and he what's going on, tell me what's going on. And it'll be like the Sunday of a pay-per-view or something like that. And nothing wrong with that. Like there's a lot of fans like that. And this is that time of year, this. You're gonna have one or two people be like, "What's going on with the Rumble? Are we watching the Rumble?" This is that you have your Rumble fans that come out.
That's what makes it exciting too. Is when the casual
fantasy football team is done. Their fantasy football team is done, and now they're gonna watch wrestling until WrestleMania, and baseball's gonna pick up. It's a cycle. It happens.
That's how it goes, and that's what makes it kind of entertaining in a lot of ways. You get that it builds up. It makes it more significant. I feel.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. There's nothing wrong about being hopeful.
Yep.
Do want to say thank you to everyone watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a challenging year. It's been a very, very adaptive year. We'll have some more shows before the end of the year. We'll do our best of the business. We call our Slammys best of the business. And we'll do that probably in the early part of 2021. We wait until the calendar year is done. We don't kayfabe the calendar.
That's right.
I should use that with Boss Man Bill. We're not kayfabing this calendar, brother. But no, thank you guys so much for supporting all the content we do. I know there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of great options from other people on YouTube, on podcasting, wrestling news sites. But you spend time with us, and when we're all spending time in front of screens, the fact that you spend time with us is meaningful, and something that I don't speak for everyone, but I know they agree with me on it. Is something we're grateful for. So thank you for giving us this time. And we hope we entertain you, put a smile on your face, made you think, we're a part of a car ride for you. We're a part of you working from home and you put the phone down and you're putting in the Excel spreadsheets and you're doing all that different stuff. All right. You're going to the gym. You're on the treadmill. We're there with you. Thank you. Thank you for making us part of your day. We appreciate that. Dom, if they want to give you a follow on the Twitter machine, where do they go?
You go to @DominicD'Angelo. So just my name. So what you see right there below, you just combine that together, no space, and there you go. There I am.
I won't be a part of a show for us on December 23rd. Usually do an AEW NXT show. This one we wouldn't be able to do until like 1:00 in the morning.
That's true. Yeah.
But I will be a part of something very, very special. 101 WKQX right here. Right there. The best alternative rock radio station in the nation. You can stream it anywhere in the world. 101WKQX.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, all of the apps on your Alexa smart speaker. Hard year for live music. We just got the great Save Our Stages bill. Clapping it up for that. $15 billion in federal aid coming to theaters and music venues across the country in the next 6 to 9 months. So great for that. $15 billion. So a good time to work our way back to live music. The Night We Stole Christmas is going to air on December 23rd, 8 p.m. Central. Glass Animals, Wallows, Cold War Kids, special guests. One of the biggest singers in the world, Billie Eilish.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Certified rock and roll, soon to be Hall of Famers. It hasn't happened, but we know it's going to happen. The Foo Fighters. All right. $1,750 for this show. Featured sets with Glass Animals, Wallows, Cold War Kids, special guest performances with Billie Eilish and Foo Fighters. This is going to be awesome. $1,750. Watch it from home. It's money you would spend at a bar that you can't go to, is the way I like to explain it to people. All right, we can't go to things. Let's watch fun things.
You can drink. You can drink there.
Oh, dude.
While you're watching.
Dude, I'm going to be on air on 101 WKQX while this is going on. So I get to tell people, hey, if you're listening on the radio, get home, watch the show. Cool thing about it is people say, I can't get home at 8 p.m. or I'm doing this on the 23rd. This is the thing you can watch during the other room on Christmas Eve. We're going to have it for 48 hours. So you're going to be able to watch us for 2 days. All right. And this is done through No Cap. No Cap is the same production company that Foo Fighters worked with on their recent show in LA. Go to 101WKQX.com. That's 101WKQX.com. $1 from every ticket goes to volunteermatch.org. Great charity connection group. Going to get people going with charities. It's a big thing that's going to happen in 2021. You're going to hear about it. You're hearing about it now. That's going to get people going. All right. We got fire out. Got to shake them ropes. Got to shake them ropes. Gotta shake them ropes. Got fire up 2021. All right, it's the Hulk up, baby. And we're gonna do that. It's a great charity we're connecting with this on as well. Thank you to our sponsors as well. So many great sponsors. Wintrust. All right, great people. Wintrust. Coors Light. All right, they're a sponsor of 101 WKQX. But wouldn't they be great sponsors?
Dude, I almost want to just read like sponsors on WrestleZone, just like. Take some of my favorite brands and just like read something.
Coors Light, made to chill. I love that phrase. I legitimately love that phrase. Made to chill. That's just a fun thing to say.
That's a good one.
When you have a good snappy little phrase like that, it's just fun to say. There's nothing wrong with that. It just feels good to say it.
Yeah, right.
Dominic, I've had you here for so long. Thank you so much for your patience with this and helping out throughout the year, getting things going with 2 Dynamite dudes as well. Merry Christmas to everyone at the D'Angelo family. I hope you guys don't.
Same to tell them home too.
Much appreciated, buddy. And same to all of you watching at home as well. Have a happy Merry Christmas. Check out our Santa with Muscles watch along. That's available now on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be dropping that podcast audio sometime this week. Dominic, we've aired our grievances. Maybe some weight has been taken off our shoulders.
I do feel a bit relieved.
The most important thing is we may analyze, we may put on our hats, and talk about what happens in this product. The product needs to change. The product. Besides that, when we're watching wrestling, we still have to return to young kids who had full heads of hair. And we have to do this one thing when we watch wrestling. What is that?
You know what?